let me tell you about someone whose work really makes you stop and think. Mitch Epstein is one of the big names in American photography. For over 50 years, he's been using his camera not just to capture moments, but to ask questions, big ones, about how people live, how places shape us, and how power moves through the world. What's special about Epstein is how he tells deep, layered stories through quiet, everyday images. A still street, a factory skyline, a room inside someone's home. They might seem simple at first glance, but the more you look, the more they reveal. He's photographed everything from the American South to industrial sites across the U.S., always inviting us to look a little closer, to see beyond the surface. One of his most well-known projects is called American Power. In it, he explores how energy, both the kind that runs our homes and the kind that runs our politics, shapes the American landscape. The photos are striking, large, beautiful, and quietly powerful. But they also carry a sharp message about the world we've built. Another deeply personal series is Family Business, where Epstein turns the camera toward his own story, his father's furniture store, its downfall, and everything that came with it. It's about loss, memory, and how personal history often mirrors larger economic realities. What really defines his work is patience. Epstein takes his time. He uses a large format camera, and the results are rich, detailed, and thoughtful. His photographs have been shown in some of the world's most respected museums, like MoMA in New York and the Tate Modern in London. He's received top awards too, including the Guggenheim Fellowship and the Prix Pictet. But more than the accolades, what sets Mitch Epstein apart is how he brings the personal and the political together. His work doesn't shout, it speaks softly with purpose. It makes us reflect on how we live, what we care about, and what we leave behind. Mitch Epstein was born and raised in Holyoke, Massachusetts, in a Jewish family. His journey as an artist began early. He studied at Williston Academy, where he had the chance to learn from artist Barry Moser. In the early 1970s, he moved between a few different schools: Union College in New York, the Rhode Island School of Design, and then the Cooper Union back in New York City. There, he studied with legendary photographer Gary Winogrand, a figure who would help shape his path. But by the mid-70s, something shifted. Epstein left behind formal education and set out on the road, camera in hand. He began a personal, photographic exploration of the United States, capturing moments, places, people. Some of those early images found their way into a group exhibition at Light Gallery in New York in 1977. Just a year later, in 1978, he took a big leap, traveling to India with his future wife, director Mira Nair. While there, he wore many hats: producer, set designer, cinematographer. He worked on films like Salaam Bombay and India Cabaret. His book In Pursuit of India brings together the photographs he made during that incredible time. Fast forward to the early 1990s. Between 1992 and 1995, Epstein turned his lens to Vietnam. The result was both a book, Vietnam, A Book of Changes, and an exhibition at Worcester Gardens in New York. After more than a decade living and working abroad, he gradually returned to New York. In 1999, he released The City, a series that looked at the delicate balance between public and private life in the urban landscape. That same year, he went back to his hometown, Holyoke. This time, he was there to document something deeply personal: the decline of his father's two businesses, a furniture store and a real estate company. If this is making sense and you're finding it helpful, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Thanks for being here. It earned the Krasna Kraus Award for Best Photography Book of the Year in 2004. Between 2004 and 2009, Epstein began a deep investigation into energy, how it's produced, how it's used, and what it all means. He traveled across the U.S., photographing near power plants and other energy sites. That series became American Power, a reflection on both electrical and political power. The large-scale prints were shown around the world, and in 2009, he released a monograph of the project. Later that same year, Epstein teamed up with his second wife, author Susan Bell, to bring American Power into public spaces. They created a project called What is American Power?, using billboards, posters, and a website to spark conversations about the environment. In 2008, Epstein was awarded the Berlin Prize by the American Academy in Berlin. He and his family moved there for a 6-month residency. During that time, he photographed key historical locations throughout the city. Those images were later published in the book Berlin in 2011. And in one of his more poetic bodies of work, the New York Trilogy, including New York Arbor and Rocks and Clouds, Epstein used a large format camera and black and white film to capture trees, rocks, and clouds across the city. Through those quiet, powerful images, he explored the relationship between human life and the natural world that still surrounds it. For over 50 years, Mitch Epstein has been using photography to explore what it means to live in America. But his photos aren't just snapshots of what he sees. They're reflections of what he feels, what he thinks, and what he wonders about. From the chaos of the Vietnam era to today's struggles with climate change and a divided society, Epstein has always kept his eyes and heart on the forces shaping the world around him. He doesn't think of himself as just a documentarian. His work is personal, emotional, full of thought. He actually compares it to poetry, not because it follows any set rules, but because it captures something real, something true in a simple, powerful way. Each photo is a piece of his life, frozen in time, that invites us not just to look but to feel. And Epstein believes that art shouldn't always make us comfortable. In fact, he wants his work to challenge us, to make us stop, reflect, and rethink the way we see things. He's drawn to that sense of being a little lost, because for him, that's where growth begins. Taking risks, making mistakes, that's all part of his creative process. Some of his best ideas have come from moments when things didn't go as planned. And even the photos that fall short, he studies them closely because sometimes those missteps are where the next spark is hiding. In a world overloaded with fast, forgettable images, Epstein invites us to slow down. He wants us to read photographs, not just glance at them, to ask, what do they show? How are they framed? Why do they exist? Because for him, photographs aren't just visual. They're emotional, cultural, deeply human. Epstein also draws from other kinds of art, from film, from literature, from installation work, reminding us that creativity doesn't fit inside one box. And over the years, his reasons for making art have shifted. Becoming a father, for example, changed the way he sees the world, now through the eyes of someone responsible for another life. And that's made his connection to the human side of his work even stronger. Patience, honesty, and clarity, those are the things that guide him. He doesn't chase after ideas. He waits for them to come. And sometimes that means sitting with uncertainty, not knowing what's next. But he's learned to trust that, to stay open, and to let the process unfold. For Mitch Epstein, clarity doesn't mean something simple. A clear image can hold layers of meaning, just like great art can speak in many voices. His photos invite us to bring our own stories, our own questions, our own emotions. And maybe that's the real heart of his legacy. Not just beautiful images, but a body of work that asks us to be more present, to look deeper, and to see both the world and ourselves with more honesty. Because in the end, Epstein's photographs aren't just about America. They're about being human, about growing, doubting, and always searching for meaning through the lens of art.